So welcome to my class in continuation with measures of central tendency. We finished with the mean, we finished with median, we are doing mode, and in mode we finished locating mode or calculating mode in the individual series as well as discrete series. And in today's class we are going to do what is known as a continuous series. So again, let me just tell you, mode is derived from the word, a French word which is known as la mode, which is in fashion, a value that is the most popular in the series, say in the continuous series, the trending value we could say. Now, continuous series is also known as a class interval series, right? So in the class interval series, as you see, I have, there are two ways of finding out mode. One is the observation method and the other is what is known as the grouping method. So let's just talk about the observation method. Alright, so in the observation method you see that this is what is the numerical. The class intervals are given, the frequencies are given. So the class interval is 0 to 10, 8, 10 to 26, 20 to 30, 10, 30 to 40 is 12, 40 to 50 is 20, 50 to 60 is 12, 60 to 70 is 5 frequencies, 70 to 80 is 3, 80 to 90 is 2, and 90 to 100 is 4. So these are the frequencies given. Suppose if these are the marks, these are the students who got so many marks within this class interval. They're grouped into that. So if you observe this, you will find out in this, if you just look at the frequencies, what do you find? That the frequency which is the highest corresponds to which class interval? Yes, you're right, it is 20. 20 is the highest frequency and it corresponds to 40 to 50. So in this particular class interval, 40 to 50, lies the modal class. So that becomes your modal class. And once you, by observing which frequency, the group frequency is the highest, then you can find out what is the exact mode with the following formula. Z or Z as you call it, is the symbol or the letter we use for modal, to represent mode. So modal class is, mode is equal to, how will you find out the mode? We found out the modal class, it's 40 to 50. To find out the exact mode, you take this formula L1, that is lower limit of the modal class. Okay, before we go on to this, let me just tell you, what is this? So this is the I'll call it F1, that is frequency of the modal class. And what is this? That is frequency which comes before the modal class, and F2 is the frequency coming after the modal class. So that is how I'm going to write it down. So L1 plus F1 minus F0, and then you have what is known as 2 into F1 minus F0 into minus F2 into I. 2 into F1 minus F0 minus F2 into I. So translating into whatever is, what is F1? Modal class frequency minus the pre-modal class frequency divided by 2 into the modal class frequency minus the frequency coming before the modal class minus the frequency coming after the modal class into I, that is class interval. So just let's write it down. So what is this? This is 40, lower limit is 40, plus what is this? 20, modal class is 20, minus 12 coming before, divided by 2 into 20 is 40, 2 into 20 is 40, minus 12, that is F0, minus 12, that is coming after, that is F2, into class interval is 50 minus 40, the difference between the two is 10. So 10. That is how we work out. 40 plus 8 upon 16 into 10 gives you 40 plus 5 is equal to 45. So in this, by observation, we follow this formula, and this is how we get it. Now let's do more by grouping method. In the grouping method, we group the frequencies, and when we are grouping the frequencies, that's the first table. There are two tables in this. One is the frequencies are grouped. Now we group the frequencies into how much? We have them into, okay, 6 columns. Alright, and then we are going to analyze in each column which is the highest frequency against which class interval, and that's how we get it. So once again, now the important thing is that we are going to find out, we are going to do it with the grouping method. In the grouping method, again, there are two tables. One is the grouping of frequency table, and once we group them, we have to see how are we going to analyze those frequencies. So let's just go with the grouping table. Okay, let's talk about the grouping. So here 0 to 10 and the these are the class intervals and these are the frequencies. Alright, and in the second column and the third column, just see the second and the third frequency. What do we do with the frequencies? All these are frequencies, grouping frequencies. So group frequencies. In the second and third, what we do is we are going to group them into 2. Okay, 1 and 2 and so on. In the third, we are going to leave the first one, 2 and 3 and so on. And the fourth, fifth and sixth columns of the frequencies, we will group them into 3s. So in the fourth column, it will be 1, 2 and 3 and so on. In the fifth column, it will be leave the first one, second, third and fourth and so on. In the sixth, it will be leave the first two, third, fourth and fifth frequencies and so on. We'll continue with that. Okay. So having said that, we'll just quickly sum them up. And another thing, after doing every column, make sure that you mark the highest frequency. So in the first column, we know that this is the highest, 20 is the highest, corresponding to 40 to 50. Now let's just take the second column. And in the second column, what did we do? Second and third, we said they are couples. 8 plus 6 is equal to 14. And then on 10 plus 12 is equal to 22. Then the next is 20 plus 12 is equal to 32. 5 plus 3 is equal to 8 and 2 plus 4 is equal to 6. And the highest frequency here will be 32. When we group them up and we add them up, what we get the highest. So in this, we are going to have, because of 20 and 12, the corresponding frequencies, when we added them up, we got 32. Let's take the third one. We left the first frequency, 8. Now we're going to sum up the rest in pairs. 6 plus 10 is equal to 16. 12 plus 20 is equal to 32. 12 and 5 is equal to 17. 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. And we leave the last one, 4. Okay, now we come to 4, 5 and 6. They are now grouped in 3s. We'll sum them up in 3s. So the first, second and third frequency, 8, 6 and 10 is 24. Then we have 12, 20 and 12 is 44. Then we have 5, 3 and 2, that is equal to 10, and 4 goes off. Okay. So in this, when we add up the highest frequency, the sum we get is 44. Now let's just take the fifth column. In the fifth column, we leave the first one, 8, and we'll do the rest. Like it comes to 6, 10 and 12 is 28. Then we have what is known as 12, 20, 12 and 5. 20, 12 and 5 is equal to 37. And then we have 3, 2 and 4, that is 9. And coming to the sixth column, we leave 8 and 6, the first two frequencies, and then we'll sum up the 3 onwards. 10 plus 12 plus 20 is 42. The next is 12 plus 5 plus 3 is equal to how much? 20. So this is how it goes on. Alright. And when we do this, now it's time for analyzing the frequencies, how they go about, how do we go about it. Now look at this. Alright. So let's see if I can get everything in here. Yeah, so we get all the 6 columns. So in the analysis table, what do is we again write the class intervals, and against the class intervals we are writing the columns, and in the columns we are going to put a Nike tick mark as we go on. Okay, now look at this. So in the first column, as you know, 40 to 50 we had 20, the highest frequencies. We'll put a tick mark there. Let's just take the second column, and in the second column we have the sum of 32 is the highest, that is 40 to 50, 40 to 50, that is 20, and 50 to 60, that is 12, it comes to 32. So you just put a tick mark there. Now the third column, it is 32 again. So how did we get 32? So in this we have what is known as 12, which is against 30 to 40, and 20, that is 40 to 50. Put a tick mark there. And the fourth column, just take the fourth column. So 12 is in correspond, where does this 12 frequency corresponds to 30 to 40? So 30 to 40. Okay. And the next is 20, 20, 40 to 50. And the next is 12, 50 to 60. So 50 to 60, put a tick mark. Fifth column, just see the fifth column. So we have what is known as, what is the highest here in the fifth column? 37. So they have summed up 20, 12 and 5. So corresponding to 40 to 50. Alright, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, and we have 60 to 70. And the sixth column is, this is the highest, so 10, 12 and 20. So 10 comes in 20, corresponding to 20 to 30, 30 to 40 and 40 to 50. So once we add this up, we find that the maximum number of the tally bars or the ticks that we are getting is for 40 to 50. Okay, that is 40 to 50. So now we determine that's the mode. In this class interval is the mode. Okay, and now we are going to use the same formula as we've already discussed earlier. So what is this formula like? Once we found out the modal class, so the modal class is 40 to 50 by this grouping method, by the analysis table, and then we use the formula L1 plus F1 minus F0 divided by 2 into F1 minus F0 minus F2 into I. Now putting the values, L1, that is modal class interval, we've got 40 to 50. The lower limit is L1 plus F1. So F1 is what? It is 20. And what is F0? That is 12. And 2 into 20 gives you 40 minus 12 into 10. So when you work it out, you get 40 plus 8 upon 16 into 10 is equal to 40 plus 5 is equal to 45. So in the continuous series, we've just seen how we worked out the mode, how did we determine the mode, and so this is how, when you're making the table, both the observation and the analysis table, becomes very important. So let me again tell you that it is very important for you to do this illustration that I did here. And another important thing is that you have to open your books and make sure that you use the illustration given in your books, your textbooks. Do that and do an exercise. This is the basic that I've taught you. And once you understand, it becomes very simple to understand. But in continuous series, to get the exact mode, this is the formula. So what's the formula? It is L1 plus F1 minus F0 divided by 2 into F1 minus F0 minus F2 into I. Alright, so in the next class, I'm going to use the same data to talk about how to get mode graphically.